Okay.
All right, welcome to episode 14 of the Business Can Be Better, and Kelly Ray is going to attempt eating on camera, I think.
While you're talking.
Right, okay.
It's going to be fine.
So welcome back. This is episode 14, and my name is Lane. This is Kelly Ray.
Hi.
And we are the co-hosts of this podcast. And we're here to chat about how to systemize your business.
This isn't going to work. I won't be eating this. Look how good it looks,
though.
though.
Knife it, yeah. Little pastry.
Let's look at it the whole show. Let's make this quick.
Okay.
Just kidding.
And all of you who know us and have been watching will be very surprised to learn that I suggested this topic. Because Kelly Ray's like, what is it, my birthday?
Yeah, I was like, woohoo. And then I thought, oh no, an ambush.
It's all a setup.
So it's systemize your business. How to systemize
How
your
to
business?
systemize. How to actually do it. Not you should. We'll just assume that everyone's at that stage that you should. How to actually do it.
If you're not smart enough to systemize your business, log off now.
Come back another time when
Just
you're ready.
kidding. We're here to help.
But what's new with you, Kelly Ray?
Oh, so many things. Usually my life is so boring.
Oh, you have so much
but
to share.
This week I'm like, ooh.
I'll step back and let you share.
This is going to be the Kelly Ray show today. Just kidding. So last Thursday we had the Business of the Year Awards.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of our clients won, which was so amazing for us. Even more amazing, we won an award ourselves, the Business Ethics Award, which was really cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then that was very quickly overshadowed by my husband. He had a professional MMA fight. You were there.
Mm-hmm.
It was, for me, very horrifying because usually it ends a lot quicker than it did. But it was like, went the full time and he won a belt. It's like got jewels all over it.
Oh, I didn't get
so
to
look
look
at it.
One
title. One of the diamonds already fell off.
Oh,
I'm gonna glue it back on.
I was meant
for
to
him.
take selfies with it.
Oh,
but
you
it
can
didn't
come over and do
happen.
that anytime.
Okay. Yeah, throw it over my shoulder.
But anyways, I forgot about those two amazing things because this morning.
I don't know about this one.
It was so crazy. And I think I was trying to think all day of what this can teach me. And I think it's just, I really, really need to be more present with the people in my life that I care about because I got a message on Facebook Messenger from this girl that I don't know very well. And she was asking about one of my best friends, if I had talked to her or seen her. It's like early in the morning. And I'm like, why are you? No, we don't have sleepovers. We're older than that. But anyway, she said, well, she didn't show up for work this morning. And she's never missed work. And if you know this girl, she's never missed anything. She's like earlier on time for everything. She's like doing her master's. She teaches. She's also works at the hospital. And she's an amazing friend, girlfriend, team member, and just always shows up to everything. So we were just freaked out immediately. And we tried her house. Nobody was there. We went to the gyms where she was. I sent her boyfriend over there. He was about to break down the door. And then I accidentally went to her old house, and I was about to break down that door. Well, who are we kidding? I would just knock on it. But I could see through the window. I was like, wait a second. There's an electric guitar and a bunch of man boots. And I was like, no, this is her old house. So luckily I didn't wake those people up. And then her boyfriend got to her house, and usually this door, she always keeps it locked, so he figured he was going to have to break it down, but it was unlocked.
Wow.
So she was sleeping.
That's it.
The police had been called, by the way. I forgot
Wow.
that part. Yeah, so it was crazy, and she was so embarrassed. Don't worry, I won't say your name. You know who you are. Don't ever do that again. But yeah,
Don't ever sleep in.
She's never done that before in her entire life.
Wow.
And so
She must have needed it.
that's what I said, maybe like give yourself some more time to rest or whatever. But anyways, she's fine. And I cried on the way over to the west side looking for her. So I realized, man, I haven't spent enough time with her. I haven't told her how much she means to me. Oh, I think I can say this without giving away who it is. You met her.
Okay.
Now you know.
No, I don't.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, I mean,
She'll never watch this anyways. It's fine.
Okay.
But when we make it big, we might have to edit that part out.
Okay. We'll come back and edit our year-old episode. Okay.
What's new with you?
What's new? I don't know. Like I went to a fight for the first time because I went to your husband's fight.
What
so
did
that
you
was
think?
fun.
You looked like
it was fun.
Such a good video.
Yeah, the video worked out.
Thank you.
It was fun. It was a good, cool thing to watch.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not about to start training to start fighting
No,
or anything. But
I wouldn't after that either. Nope. In fact, usually when people say, "Oh my gosh, how do you let your husband fight?" I'm like,
Yeah.
He loves it. It's great. But after that, I was like, Tim, I think I need you to quit. He's like, nope. I'm
Not
like, okay,
happening.
well, let's go with the flow then.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not much new with us. We have our newest employee. Well, I guess she was here last week too, so.
I didn't meet her, did I?
No, I don't
What's her
think you
name?
have. Kirsten. So she's working with us. And that's been fun. So we've grown, and this little
Again?
office is starting to not fit everyone. I can't hire very many more people, so I need a bigger place. I just moved in here a year ago.
And I was asking you on the way in too. You haven't had any turnover really.
No.
Like how many employees do you have now?
5 employees, 5 plus me.
I just
Yeah.
did it.
She did it.
Thought
She
you'd
ate
talk for
on.
longer.
No, yeah. You should ask a question that requires more of an answer than how many employees do you have.
Jocelyn's not going to judge me, and we know she's our only fan. I love you,
Gotta
Joss.
fit those bites in where you can.
Okay,
All right.
let's get down to it.
Okay, how to systemize your business. So you talk about it a lot, about creating systems, create processes for everything. But what is that? I don't know. When we started talking about it, and I learned that a lot, hear it from you a lot, so I had to think about a lot more and where I need to use them. But what does it actually look like? Like, how do you create a process? What does a finished process look like? How do you use it? Where does it go? What form does it take?
Whoa. Let's start. What was the first question?
How do you make it?
How do you make a system?
Yeah. So if you so let's say what would be a good example that we could use throughout today for a system? Maybe
I like sales processes because
okay.
if we can help people increase their conversion rate, it'll make a big difference for them.
Okay. What's the process? How do you go about building that process? Like, what actual form does it take? So I mean, I think you can think about in your head what the process is, but that's the point, is it needs to get out of your head. So where does it go?
Yeah, so I think sometimes companies create like procedure manuals and they'll like hire it out to a third party just to get it done and then put it on the shelf. That's how you don't do it. Like, don't do that. There's no point in doing that. Yeah. Well, yeah, and don't get someone else to do it who has no idea what you're doing.
Right.
If you want to use someone to help you like type them up or whatever, fine. But really what you have to do is look at, let's say there's a piece of a path or a piece of the customer experience that you want to improve upon.
Okay.
So like when somebody calls in, how they get treated, what their options are, like what your staff says to them, and then where that information gets entered into the computer and how it gets followed up on. All those are processes or procedures or a system.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just think when I go into a business, now I don't know if I'm answering the question right, but for me, systems are created when I see that a part of your business isn't working right. So you either need to change the procedure or improve the procedure or just make sure that it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so like when I was sharing the link to this live on LinkedIn, I said that and I think this is true for a lot of new or first-time business owners, I'm the business owner that didn't think about this until I need it. Like, we're trying to scale and I need other people to do the jobs that have previously been my job.
Yeah.
And when it's my job, it's fine because it's in my head and I know what I need to do. But when you need someone else to do that job, you need processes. And that really unlocks the ability to grow and scale, is having those built. So I'm a first time, I've owned a lot of businesses, but they're all kind of ideas that never took off. So it was my first successful business that I've owned. And so as a first time business owner, I didn't have any of that in place. And I think probably if I was to do another business, another experienced entrepreneurs probably build a lot of processes from day one. Like, the first time they do it, they build a process for it so that it's there for future growth. But what does it actually look like? Are we talking about like this is a checklist that's in a Word document? Like, what is a process look like?
It's up to you. And that's a really good point. If you're looking to grow your company, you can't do it without systems, procedures, or processes. So especially if you're going from self-employed to having a team, yes, the way that you do things, and you don't even think about it probably, because especially if they're like you're good at something, so you started a company around it, you're like, hey, this is going really well. You actually have to start to, and my brain works like this automatically after so many years of doing this, but you have to slow down and think, how did I get that customer to sign on? Or how did I generate that lead? Or how did I close that deal?
Yeah.
And write it out or make a video about it. A lot of my clients are opting to use videos now for procedures.
Okay.
We're not going to get into the learning style thing because I heard that Lane found some research that disputed the validity of the learning style approach. But a lot of people say they don't like reading. And I think that's got to be true. Because for me, I learn by reading and writing. So I send a ton of emails and I like to write procedures out. But some people don't learn that way. So with a lot of our clients who have younger employees who want, more, what's the word? I want to say devourable, but that is not it.
What?
Like,
Don't
so
know
they
what
can
word you're
they
going
can
for.
absorb
Right.
it better,
Yeah.
easier to digest, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Digestible.
We just make a quick video, so they'll be like, step 1, clean this. Step 2, put this in here. Step 4, put it in the bag. Step 5, throw it in the garbage. Like, and some people think, well, that's so stupid. That's so simple. They should know that. But you can't say that when you're trying.
Don't assume that.
You're creating the procedures and the systems for somebody. The whole point of this is that you want to make your business as systemized as possible, so that you can plunk other people into those roles. Like, it should be so good that you could pretty much put a temp into the role. A lot of jobs will require a certain amount of experience, right? But it should be so good that you can plunk anybody into that role, not only to help you grow, but to mitigate risk. Because if you've got a team of 5 and each of the 5 is really good at one thing, but their procedures aren't written out anywhere, or they're not on video, like those Loom videos are such great examples of procedures.
Yeah.
And then one of them quits or gets sick or, God forbid, gets in a car accident and dies, like that happens. You're in big trouble, you know?
I made a process for your employee yesterday.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
it was like,
did.
every time you run a new course, these are all the things you need to do. And so I wrote them down for a checklist, because I was like, okay, what are all the things? Because they're like kind of in my head, but I need to like get them down so I actually know they're all there.
High five.
And then I made a Loom video and walked her through all of them, and then sent it to her in an email with the video and a text literal like checklist of step
That is
1, 2, 3, 4,
awesome.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
Do you know what she said
and then
about that?
and then we realized we missed 2 steps, so she's gonna have to add
Oh,
things.
Lane! I was going to give you a huge compliment.
I know.
I went into her office and I'm like, what are all these things on my calendar? And she's like, oh, it's so that you know when to do the post or to etc. Because there's a new course starting in November. And I said, oh, okay. She said, I had to change a whole bunch of stuff in Thinkific. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh no.
And she's like, oh, no, don't worry. It was very
Lane
simple.
told me to. Yeah.
She said, Lane made me this great procedure with a video and step-by-step.
Yeah, I had someone come do a quote on getting cleaning done at our office now, because we do it ourselves on the weekends, my wife or I, usually my wife. But I had someone come give a quote, and I was very reassured that she's obviously a very process-driven person, because she was explaining, I will make a checklist, and I have all these great cleaners, but I'm going to come and clean this office with them and go through the checklist of, you know, you have to do all of these items before you can say it's done, and I'm going to do it with them week after week until it's flawlessly executed.
Oh, I want to know
and
who
then
this is.
I will tell you later.
Oh, I'm so
But
I'm so glad you found that person.
Yeah.
I want to find that person.
I have a lot of assurance that they have done that very well, which is good. So that's something we've been figuring out for ourselves. When I was at that conference recently in New York, someone was telling us about how they do processes, and this is marketing specific. So he's talking about how to set up Facebook ads or something like that, a specific activity they would do. So he would just walk through it the first time using a Loom video or something like that, and he would just walk through the process of how he does it, so that he doesn't have to try and think and put it on paper or anything. He'll just walk through it, and then he'll even use certain trigger kind of keywords, like if you I don't know, he'd say like, if you look here, he'll use words like that, and then he'll send that video. He was using virtual assistants. He would just send them this video, and he would have them turn it into a text and visual process, and he would tell them that when he says things like, if you look here, that's a cue for take a screenshot of that piece, put it in the document. And so basically he can just shoot someone a video, they turn it into his system.
For different learning styles?
Yeah, I guess, because I don't know if the video ever existed after that. It was basically just how you could get someone else to make the process. Because like you said, you don't want someone who doesn't understand your business coming in doing processes. But if you were literally sending them your video walkthrough of how it's done, then they're really just turning your information into a different form, and they might be able to do that effectively.
And I do know an admin contractor who went in to help a couple of my clients and was able to take dictation or watch procedures and type them up for them. But it takes a certain personality, because like I said earlier, if you're making procedures and they just go on a binder on the shelf, you're wasting your time and your money.
Yeah.
You need to make them so that, I guess the biggest thing is so that you don't have to be in more than one place at once, you know? Like if somebody can't do something well, either the procedure's not clear, or they weren't trained properly, or they need to go because they're not capable.
Yeah.
So I think a bare minimum of being a good leader is to have procedures for everybody. Like if somebody screws something up, the first question you should ask yourself is, what could I have done better? And do I have a good procedure for them for that? Because if you don't, it's not their fault.
So where do you start in building a procedures with a business like
question.
me? So I'm
Start with
starting.
strategic objectives.
Okay.
I actually had notes and I forgot about them. So strategic objectives, we talked about that, a couple times, but all that means is your overarching big business goals.
Okay.
So how I come up with those with my clients is I start with their personal goals. And usually it takes people a while to come up with these because they're like scared to dream nowadays. Have you ever experienced that? It's like, no, really, like what, if you could have anything from this business, like what would it give you?
Right.
And so if they come up with 3 or 4 things or even 2 or 1 thing, you just say, okay, now what do we need to do with the business to afford you that freedom or to give you that money or to let you do that passion project? So then we come up with probably like a revenue goal, a profit goal, and in lots of cases, actually a hiring goal. Like some people like to put that as one of their strategic objectives. So from there, those things just have to be like in mind as you create your procedures and your systems and everything, because creating every single procedure in your business, like now, today, would take you forever.
Yeah.
And they're always evolving. So I always say review your strategic objectives to figure out your priority ones.
Okay.
So like if you're not hitting your sales goals, you want to look at from the first contact or even before that, look at your advertising and marketing. How many leads are you getting? Then look at how many of those leads convert. And if you're not getting enough leads or your conversion rate of leads is too low, which just means not 100% of leads turn into clients. If you're at 50% of leads turn into clients, then look at that procedure and see what's happening. And a lot of times it doesn't even have to be you actually who is the mastermind behind the procedure. In an organization I work with in Calgary, one sales guy, like we just found this today, it was like mind blowing, 83% conversion rate, and the rest are all in the 30s. I'm like, get that man in here.
What magical recipe does he have?
Put him on camera, And unfortunately, we found out he wasn't tracking the ones that didn't convert properly.
Well, that would be why.
They weren't being put in the computer. But in a made up example where that man was tracking properly, we would have him tell us what his procedure was, because he's obviously doing something better than the rest of us,
Would it be fair to say a good place to start would be to look at your pain points too, because that might be a good place to start for other people. For us, I have to turn down work because we're not able to take it on, and so it wouldn't be let's work on conversions or leads follow up or any of that. It would be more like what can we do to be able to take on the work that is being offered to us. So right now that's what we're working on. Like I said, we're just starting to build processes around all this stuff. And so one of the first ones that we did, or is not even quite finished yet, is doing a process for onboarding to ActiveCampaign.
Awesome.
So we're going to be putting a lot of people, and already have put a lot of people onto that CRM because we're an ActiveCampaign partner. We use it often. And so my new employee, I'm kind of mentoring her and training her to be our ActiveCampaign wizard. And I want someone to be more knowledgeable than me in that and be our ActiveCampaign awesome person. So the very first client that we onboarded into ActiveCampaign, I just said, like, write in a document every step of what we do, because I'm going to walk through it with you, and we're going to kind of work through what's involved in getting someone onto this software. So just make a note every time we do something, what is it we do? So step 1, create them a free trial account so we can play around in it. Step 2, like, we just made every step in a document, and that's as far as we got right now, which ended up being about a 3-page document, because it's like, okay, we need to figure out what custom fields they need and what tags we're going to need. And then you realize, well, like, maybe that needs to be a standardized form that we ask them or fill out with them that goes at the beginning, like an intake interview. And so we start figuring out all the pieces that need to be there rather than kind of winging it every time we do this. And now we're going to actually formalize this and turn it into something that has flow charts and checklists and standard forms that we use and stuff. But that's kind of, there's an opportunity here because it's a job that I'm currently doing semi-efficiently, and I want someone else to be better at it than I am. So let's just make a process and help them succeed at this. So that's kind of where we decided where to start, I guess.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of cases, pain points would match up with them achieving their strategic objectives, because if they weren't achieving the goals they set out to achieve, they would be feeling pain. But not in all cases, but I think those kind of would coincide sometimes. One thing I wanted to mention quick before we moved on is just, I'm sure there's not these kind of videos in ActiveCampaign, or you would know about them, but in a lot of software, even like you were talking about the Facebook ads, free course or
Yeah,
whatever.
blueprint. Yeah.
So a lot of people, I think, do some work they don't have to sometimes, because a lot of software that you buy,
Right.
especially if you have a monthly subscription, they have help videos.
That's true.
Yeah, so there's sometimes procedures out there already created that you can use.
ActiveCampaign has that. They're really good at that, and they even have like an onboarding boilerplate kind of process that you could use. One of the first things I did with this new employee was ran her through all of the courses that ActiveCampaign offers, because they do a lot of training stuff. And then we had a look at the onboarding sequence thing, and I don't know, just in both cases, they're trying to be extremely comprehensive, and so there's a lot of stuff that's just inefficient in that.
Yeah.
So like the training videos, I wouldn't want every employee to go through that. Like we could cut a lot of stuff that is almost never used, or that is not our best practices that we've come up with. And then same with the onboarding sequence. It's just like, it didn't logically make sense to me the way we do things. That's a great
point, because if you just get lazy and you just say, go watch these videos, your staff won't learn the ones that you really want them to learn, because they'll be overwhelmed. I think we should clarify something though. Procedure, process, that's an interchangeable word, but for me, a system is like a set of procedures or processes.
Yeah.
It's like your sales system would be like the lead handling process, the conversion process, the data entry process. You know, like it's a bunch of different processes or procedures all together.
Okay.
And you're right. It can take the form of a checklist. Like a simple example would be like, if you're closing the shop,
right,
here's the checklist, the end of the night checklist,
close up shop,
or the open checklist.
Yeah.
Or even like a new customer intake form. It could be a form, it could be a checklist, it could be a video, it could be written out, a step-by-step procedure. And then the most important part, and I think the part that's neglected the most often, is systemizing the procedure or the process. So that just means making sure that it actually happens every time that it's supposed to happen. Yeah. And so a big part of that is my favorite tool in the tool belt, the calendar.
The calendar,
or schedule. You know, like if one of your employees has a normal weekly schedule, it has to be in there every week, or it has to be, or like sometimes people will use a checklist for a system. So the sales system would be a checklist, and the first thing on the checklist is the lead conversion procedure. So they check that off after they do that procedure. They check this off after they do that procedure.
Cool.
And then automation. So much can be done with automation, right?
Right.
Things that a lot of people are probably doing on their own. Maybe, I don't know if you thought about this before, but there might be some things like ActiveCampaign, for example, that you could recommend to people. Oh, am I stealing your quick tip?
No.
Okay. Thought I figured it out. I'm trying to peek at your notes. No. So yeah, maybe can you speak on some of those? Because some things can be automated or systemized.
Oh, yeah. That
we don't have to actually do it.
Yeah, especially. So this other client that was our first one that we onboarded with my new employee, we had him in the past on HubSpot, a different software, and it was just all the automation stuff wasn't available to us because we weren't on the premium subscription, because it's way too expensive over there, and that's a big reason why we put them on ActiveCampaign. So the automation wasn't really there, so that was something we were able to do in ActiveCampaign. And on HubSpot, the best part of using these CRMs is that you can track the financials too, like all the deals. So when you have a lead and you send them a quote or a proposal or however your business works, and then you see how often they close, and you know who has an open deal and who's closed.
ActiveCampaign?
Yeah, with
ActiveCampaign.
ActiveCampaign.
In there?
Sorry, no, not proposals, but when you send them, you can log that they've been sent, right?
Okay.
So with HubSpot, you can do that as well, but it would require a lot of manual work for him, and he's not someone who's into using software that much. And so to try to train him as kind of the sales manager type person on how to do that, like go in here, create this deal, assign it to this person, like there's just so many steps involved that when we moved to ActiveCampaign, we distilled it down to just 2 actions and then let automation take care of everything else. So it's like when someone fills out the quote form, we already have it make the deal in the back end. We already know what product it's for. We already know where they're from, all their contact information. So then when he sends the quote, I've told him all you have to do is go in here, add this tag that says the quote has been sent, and then just update the value of how much this product is, because it changes every time. So those are the two things you have to do. And then in the back end, it automatically changes their deal stage, because now they're not just like a new lead. Now they're an in progress lead. Now they're not waiting for a quote. Now they received a quote. Like,
That's
everything in the
awesome.
back end happens automatically. And all of that is, within 3 days of using it, there was already like 12 deals that he'd made and updated in the back end. I'm like, yes, you're using it, because
That's
we distilled
awesome.
it down to just 2 actions and let automation take care of the rest. So
I think there's probably a huge opportunity for a lot of people out there who are using like legacy software. Like, there's so many businesses I could think of right now that if they've been around for a long time, they've been using a certain software for a long time, and it's like the industry specific software. And so they're like, no, it's the best in the industry, but they haven't changed with the times. Like, they're not keeping up and changing software. Before we talk anymore about ActiveCampaign, though, what does it mean to be an ActiveCampaign partner? Because people keep asking me, do you have a stake in Lane's company? Like, every time I listen to your podcast, I want to buy stuff from Lane. I'm like, no, I just think he's great. But so
what does it mean to be a partner?
Yeah.
We just sign up to be a partner agency. So there's like an application process, and then you're approved to be a partner, which means that I can manage. So you're on ActiveCampaign, we have other clients on ActiveCampaign. We manage your account in the back end. So like, if you were to call in support and be like, hey, can you extend my trial and all that stuff, we manage that. Like, your account goes under me. So I become your kind of account manager within ActiveCampaign.
Oh, okay.
It also means that I get to set the pricing. So within margin, like, they give us, we don't have enough clients for it to be like super discounted, but we get like a discounted rate. It's also called a reseller, because some people will do that and then just like mark it up to the normal price and then like take the margin, and we just give like the discounted price, because I'm not trying to make money off of ActiveCampaign. But it just allows us to work on it in the back end.
I just wanted you to share that, because I had a feeling it was something like that. But when we talk about stuff on this podcast, we will never be making money on it.
The best thing to use.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not because we want.
I just kind of wanted to put that out there.
Let's look at the comment.
Asked me that.
We got. Because Dawson says she'd suggest that the first step to someone creating processes would be to write down step by step all the daily and mundane tasks that you already know and do well. That way you can delegate to someone else. So the boss's time can be spent on the creative and expertise and more in-depth pain points and procedures. So that's kind of why we started where we did, was like, what's something I'm doing that's not really, it doesn't require all my creativity and years of marketing knowledge to do. It's just a task that has to be done that's occupying my time. So let's make a process, let an employee take care of it, and let me focus on more high level creative type things.
I like that a lot. Thank you. Our biggest fan.
Super fan.
Most beautiful fan as well.
Yeah.
But also something else came into my brain when we were talking about that. Sometimes people outside your organization have already created really great systems, like the lady who you were talking about contracting your cleaning to.
Right.
So somebody came to mind for me. A lot of my clients have a lot of challenge with hiring, especially in like administrative positions when hundreds of people apply for the job.
Oh, yeah.
So for the last probably 4 years, as a rule, will never hire myself. I always sub it out to someone who I know their process is absolutely amazing.
Their hiring process?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're using like HR consulting sort of thing? Or,
And not only does their process include like research and a whole bunch of different steps vetting the employee, they also vet the employer. And then they have to replace the person if it doesn't work out.
Right.
So they have a system already built, and it's like a set price, and I know that it's guaranteed to be good, because if it doesn't work, they replace them. So that was something in the beginning I was kind of like trying to hang on to, because I'm like, well, I'm a business consultant, I should know how to hire. But you know what? When I like really focus on leadership, marketing, and financials, hiring is not something that I'm going to spend, another 5 years trying to become an expert in. Yeah. So I think look for those opportunities too, because kind of like the cleaning thing. Is it really worth, especially if it's going to decrease engagement, like if a staff member doesn't want to clean.
Oh yeah.
And I like how you guys never did have your staff clean.
No, I still, even when we have practicum students and interns and stuff, I'm still the one like making coffee in the morning. I'm not asking my intern to make me coffee. I can make my own coffee.
Yeah, but I mean, like tasks like that an outside person has a system for, they're known for their system. That's how they make their money. Like, why not just let them? In some cases.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some notes here. I just want to make sure I don't forget anything.
Jump in the notes. With the hiring one, I feel like I'd really want to still have
You have so
a
much control.
few,
You do.
3 or 5 final people to pick from or
You
something.
do,
Because
yeah.
like to me and any business who's taking business ownership seriously or wanting to be a better business takes culture so seriously. And I feel like that's a hard thing to extract from my brain and to put into this consultant's brain as far as like what is our culture in a way that they're going to be a perfect fit. Because you know, like Gary Vee said this, when you get to like as a marketing agency, you can get to maybe, I don't know, you can get to maybe 50 employees and you're a marketing agency. But when you get up like 100 employees, 200 employees, and you're getting up into like really, really large agency type stuff, you're basically an HR company. Like you buy skill from people and sell it to clients. Like you're basically an HR company. And so that just emphasizes even more, like you just have to have the right people. That's what it's all about. Like that's all there is to it, is having the right people culture wise and making sure that everyone can work well together. And
I can't remember the name of this book, but you would really love it. But I'll remember it and tell it to you. Maybe we could post it on here. But there was a book that I really loved, and it kind of encompassed all the best practices that we implemented. But no matter how great we made our procedure, because we weren't experts at it, this company does really figure out the culture. That's the most important part. But also, you are the one that decides. They just present the best candidates.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, and the other thing is too, like sometimes I disagree with part of this person's process, which is really interesting, right? So in my opinion, we need to do a working interview. I think that's so important to see the person doing the task you're hiring them to do. They disagree. So, you know, there's all sorts of things. When it's not you doing your system in-house, sometimes you have to be like,
imagine people
I respectfully disagree.
People would have a hard time with that because
Yeah.
it feels like you're asking so much
For
from
me,
the
it's
applicant.
just like
But
so many hires and so many hours spent on an activity that wasn't the most valuable or the most important activity for my clients and myself. And then, you know, I hired somebody once because I liked her, you know, because I felt like I knew her. We go back, you know, be nice, but that was not right for me or that person. So anyways, that's the last time I hired.
okay.
Manuals. Okay, so a lot of people, I don't think they understand what manuals are. So 2 points. One, the whole point of business coaching, in my opinion, is to find what really works in a business and systemize it.
Okay.
And find what doesn't work and stop doing it. That's pretty much all I do. So manuals, I talk about manuals all the time. The big 3 things that I do with clients are financials, marketing, and manuals. So the manuals, they might just sound like, oh, this little binder you put together and put on the shelf, but that's like your operations. That's your whole, and this is where we're talking about the checklists or the step-by-step procedures or the videos. And it can be on, you know, on a drive or online, or it can be in a binder, paper, but it should have their, you know, the company mission, vision, culture statements, and then it should have the person's job description. And of course, key performance indicators, the most important measurable goals in their job description. Then it should have a procedure for every part of their job, how to do that job. And if you have that manual done really well, and of course policies that apply to all the staff, then you just give that to new people and they get to read it all before they start. And then when they start, they can reference back and check, oh yeah, how do I do this again? They have a much...
I feel like that sounds so overwhelming to businesses, like in my position, where like that is something I want to work towards, but to think of being able to create a process for every part of every person's job
within reason
is like, sounds enormous.
It is. And so most people are like, really, Kelly Ray, like, do you want me to create a going to the bathroom procedure? And I'm like, stop just short of that. Like, yeah.
Can I show you the very first one I made in a new software?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's show people something.
But you can start with one procedure in your binders. Just get the binders, because I find it moves you a lot faster.
So in talking...
make the online thing.
And
so
thinking
am I off
about...
camera now? Can I eat?
Here, I'll switch you off. Here you go. You're gone. You're gone. So in my interest of starting to build processes, I really like using apps and software to do things. So I found something called Lucidchart, and I feel like it works well. Honestly, just using like Google Slides would do it pretty close, but this just makes it a little simpler because there's drag and drop shapes. But the first one I did as just a play around to see how this works is answering the office phone.
Oh, good.
So I'm like, what does a process look like for answering an office phone? So this is how we built a process, which is literally like the phone rings. We say, hello, Lenro Media, this is whoever. Are they a client or a lead in progress? if they're not, then we have to figure out if they're a micro business, which is what I call someone smaller than a small business, which is not someone we usually take on as sort of a retainer base. So if they are yes, we have a lead qualifying form to send them to. This actually, when we save this as a PDF, actually you click it and it will take you directly to that form so that they can fill it out. If they are not a micro business, as in they are larger than that, then let's book a meeting. We'll take the time. They don't need to fill out this lead qualifying form. That would probably be annoying to them. Let's sit down and actually talk. So in that case, I have book a meeting. If you click that, it goes directly to the Calendly link that allows you to book a meeting with me. So both of those are automated. So are they a client or lead in progress? If yes, is their account manager available? Transfer it to them. If no, are they wanting to meet? If no, take a message. If yes, book a meeting. So we made a process for answering the phone.
This is so good.
So that was our first one, as far as just seeing what it looks like to build a process. And this is definitely like the lowest level or most detailed, mundane type of task you would ever want to do this for, but it was kind of as a creative exercise for us.
But go back for a sec. What if people don't do that? Because I think
so
people don't get present to the damage you can cause if you don't have procedures. So
that is the problem, is only recently did we take our business phone number out of my cell phone, because I had 2 lines coming into my mobile, and put it onto a landline in the office.
Finally, good for you.
So that was like a couple of weeks ago. So the old 1920s looking phone downstairs is our actual landline, which means that other people are answering the phone. And all of a sudden I realized I had this problem that my employees don't have all the context I have as far as how do we talk to these people. So when someone calls, I kind of have a lot of information I know I need to get. Just some impressions I need to get, whether is this someone I need to sit down and have a meeting with because they're a legitimate lead that I want to spend time with, or is it someone just like tire kicking, or they're just too small that they don't realize that they're not in the territory of being a potential client, or what, like just getting understanding of who those people are so that we can take them down the right path. Do we let them fill out the qualifying form to see if they are right for us, or do we just go straight to book a meeting?
So if they don't use this, you could end up spending your time meeting with people who don't even actually qualify as possible clients.
So the first thing we did when we put the phone in was I made a Calendly link so that others could book with me, so that Alex or whoever answers the phone knows when my availability is, can actually put something in my calendar for me. So that was the first thing we did. But then I saw an event pop into my calendar with someone, and I'm like, who's this person? And then I look into it and I'm like, I don't want to meet with them. Like, I don't have time to meet with people who I already know are not going to be a client. And so we had to create processes where it's like, hey, there's some information you need to extract from them. Not so directly, like, how big is your business? Like, I don't want to ask those questions, but you need to start forming some impressions so that we know what to do with this call. So we did build this, and it's useful for that.
Let's leave it up just for 1 sec. Sorry, I'm obviously eating. So so this is a really, really, really great example, because a lot of people would think, oh my gosh, I'm not making a procedure for how to answer the phone. But so many times this first step right there.
Right here?
For me, if somebody doesn't sound incredibly like energetic and welcoming, that would be a problem for me, because that's my brand. That's how I want my clients to feel. I want people to feel like, we're so glad you called. How can we help you, sort of thing. Yeah. So I might even make that more detailed. But the thing is, you'll know if it works if you're getting the results you want. Right. So if this works, which it sounds awesome, especially I love how you can click things and it takes you right to the other thing. Yeah. But if, for example, you're noticing that your lead conversion is lower than it should be, right? Like, for example, if you handled the leads, it would be higher. Then I would go back and say, maybe we need to be more detailed in one of these areas, or they're not following it. Right. Or they're asking, are you a micro business? They're not understanding that. They're just like, like, how do they do that?
Yeah, tell me about your business. How long have you been in business? Okay. What do you do? Like, just get some ideas, right? Like, I think I offended someone last week that reached out by email, and they do metal work, and it's beautiful work, and they cut out these things and they sell them at Christmas shows and craft fairs, and they like do all this stuff, and they sent a message wanting to meet, and I was just like, I actually advise you don't work with a marketing company. Like, you're too small. And I didn't even say that, but I think the way I phrased it was like, you need to be. We kind of mostly work with more established, mature businesses that. And it's not because like we don't want to work with you. It's because the cost of having an agency, you're not going to be able to get the return out of it. Like, you're just not big enough to be able to see the return. So anyways.
You can't systemize a business if you're self-employed. You can automate some of it, but you can't create systems and have other people perform procedures if you have no staff.
Yeah. So that was a case where their response back was like very curt, and I don't think they
sorry to hear
enjoyed it. But anyways, it's about making sure that you can get to this stage of what kind of a business are they without upsetting anyone. We started doing some larger ones. So I guess this is the ActiveCampaign one. This is barely a draft, but we're starting to build it out. So if we're looking at obviously barely a draft, but just begin onboarding. We want to book a meeting. We're going to complete a form. We can link this to book the meeting link. We can link this to the form they need to fill out. So this is going to be like, what tags do you need to use and what custom fields do you need to use? And we're going to build this out as a complete process.
Is this free?
I am currently on the free plan, but I will very quickly run out of what I can do on free. So yeah, we'll be upgrading, and then we can get a team one, and I can get everyone else on my team. They can access it. They can have their own login, and I can share specific ones with them, and then they can create little folders and have whichever ones in there we want. We have ones that are complete, ones that are drafts. Yeah, there's lots we can do. Or they could create their own and share with us. In fact, you can do there's all these other shapes too. You can even design.
Very cool.
What did they have?
I just want to reiterate though to people that Loom is free.
Loom is free.
And that's been very helpful for us because you can record what you're doing on the screen as well as your voice or even a little picture of yourself in the corner or a video.
Yeah. So that has been a fun discovery as just starting to draw it out. So
awesome. That was perfect. I ate my whole Danish.
That was perfect. That's why we switched. So you didn't have to watch Kelly Ray eat.
Sorry about that. No, the best part was right before you cut out, and I thought I was off camera, and I was like, ah.
I wish it froze that way. Just
I don't.
With your face wide open.
I do not.
It's like, ah.
So, the best part about this, well, not the best part, but I'd say probably the most important part after creating them is reinforcing them or making sure that they happen.
Okay.
So systemizing them.
And
so
how
and this just came up today with a client, and one of the most important things I think when it's when you do your online marketing and people click, there's so much information on where they came from. Right. You can track which website or which platform they saw it on, when they clicked, all that sort of stuff. But when people just walk in off the street and say, I want to buy something from your store, we have to ask, how did you hear about us? Where else did you see or hear about us, right? And to me, that's one of the most important processes in a business, because when we go to calculate marketing effectiveness, cost per customer, cost per lead, conversion rate, and return on investment, we have no idea of any of those numbers. So in my opinion, you have no idea of the effectiveness of any of your marketing unless you're asking that. And I found out today that one of my most amazing clients, they're not doing that.
Oh, no.
And so I said, what happened? Why aren't they doing it? And she's like, I don't know. They just don't do it. And so that happens a lot. And it's really, if you're in a business where you're still the manager, the general manager, the operations manager, you haven't hired someone to take that on yet, I think it's a really disheartening truth that you just have to get over. But while you're running the business, part of a job of a manager or a leader is to remind people to do their jobs. Right. It's so annoying, but you have to do it. Yeah. Because these procedures, if you implement them, put them even on here or in a binder or whatever, and then they're never used, it's such a waste of time. Right. And your sales suffer, your conversion suffers, all of that. Yeah. So mostly I would say a lot of stuff can be put in the calendar, do this once a week, or do this every day when you open the store, or do this at night when you close the shop, or
that's what we've done with you use calendar. We use Asana because Asana you can still assign it to a calendar day, not a time, but same sort of thing where I've said to Lindsay, on our website, the way we've built out our new site, we have a portfolio section of everyone we work with, but that changes often, not so much with who we work with, although that does a bit, but more so that it also tells whoever visits our website what we've done for them. So it's we've done graphic design, or we've done ActiveCampaign stuff, or whatever, all the different kind of activities we do. So we just made that, put it as a recurring task in Lindsay's calendar to just come and ask me once a month and say, hey, do we have new clients, or did we do new kinds of work for existing clients? Because then I'll update that page so that it stays current. So we just put it in as a recurring task. Yeah.
Some people think that that's too basic, or too, I don't know what the word
No,
is.
you need to.
You need
You'll
to do
forget.
that.
You
yeah,
absolutely
exactly.
will forget.
So you know what my smart Well, I wanted to say smart ass, but she's actually very smart, but she's also a little cheeky. She's like, please hold on. She put a reminder in her calendar for 3 times a day.
Nice.
To go and remind them. And then she's like, but I'm also going to be texting them on their days off when I get these stupid reminders. Because if I have to see them, they do too. Yeah, so that. And then also, like, what's really, 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 really important is making sure that once you have those job descriptions, and I think we talked a lot about processes today.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about job descriptions.
Oh, that's a whole new thing.
That's where all the processes come from.
Yeah.
So if it's on your job description, it should have a process.
Okay.
But the best part about all this stuff, and I know you're not going to have it all at once, but when you said pain points, it reminded me, a lot of times procedures are created because you're like frustrated with the staff. So this staff isn't doing this. Okay, well, is there a procedure? Well, no. Well, there's your first thing.
Yeah, that's
Create
why
a procedure,
they can't do it. Right.
sit with them. And the thing is, I always tell people 99.9% of the time, be really kind, supportive, be fun, be like loving, but you know, use your tools to do the heavy lifting. Don't ever get mad. Don't yell. Don't swear. Don't roll your eyes or sigh. Just say, let's look at the job description, or let's look at your KPIs, or let's look at the procedure, or let's look at this process. Because all you need are the job descriptions, KPIs, processes, and culture statements we talked about before, and mission statement. All that stuff. If you have it all, it's all you need ever to coach your staff. And it's all you need ever to be like, okay, remember we talked about this? This is how we need to do it. Or what I found really, really, really helpful. Sorry, I'm getting excited. And I have so many ideas.
Just run.
I love it. Is if somebody does something that doesn't work, if you can get them involved in creating the procedure, you know?
Yeah.
Because when somebody creates it, there's so much more bought in. Yeah. Well, I think we should do it this way next time. Great. I would love that, because then the customer wouldn't be mad, you know?
Yeah, this ActiveCampaign onboarding, the employee is making the process as she's doing it the first time.
Very powerful.
She's making
very
it,
powerful.
and she will continue to use it whenever she needs to.
And that's another great point. You don't have to do this all yourself. In fact, you shouldn't.
No.
Have the people in the roles help create the things.
But you just have to invest time in understanding that it'll take longer doing it this first time, but it's an investment in how much more efficient it'll be the next time. So whenever you have something you want to processize, you just do the task, spend the time while you're doing the task creating the process, and it's going to slow down getting that job done that time. And then in the future, it's going to just be easy. That's the best time that we've found for how to do it, is to do it when that process would have been useful, build it when in the position that you would need it, and then you'll have it for next time.
And just remember, it's the whole really obvious, you know, you probably hear it so often if you follow me anyways, but you have to work on your business, not in it, if you want to grow it and make it better, or even sustain it for your employees and your clients. But so doing processes and procedures, especially if you're heavily involved in creating them, can seem like, oh, I'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do it next time a client gets mad. Oh, I'll do it next time. But it's like, you don't realize the negative impact it's having. Like, have you read the book, The Slight Edge?
No.
Just talking about really incremental changes, but over time, how much of a massive difference they make.
Yeah.
So if you don't do that procedure, there are little, you know, bad things that are going to keep happening that are going to keep causing these fires for you. And everyone's well, I'm too busy to write procedures. I'm putting out fires. Well, you wouldn't be putting out fires if you had good job descriptions, KPIs, procedures, policies, mission statement, and culture statements.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you coached to them. Yeah.
Okay.
You could tell I really love that. I can't even believe I ate during this podcast. I love that stuff.
Can you believe that I was the one that suggested this topic today?
No.
It's because I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying building out our processes, and as we grow and seeing how much it's going to enable us to continue to grow.
Awesome.
Because there's just so much that I still do, and I need to be able to turn that into a process and put it in someone else's hands and just trust and mentor and let them do the job.
And you need to spend more time with your family, or spend more time doing things other than just working 20 hours. Jocelyn did not pay me to say that. No, but most people get into business because they want more free time.
Yeah.
They want to be in charge of their schedule. You know, but ironic. If you don't systemize it, it's like a very, very needy child.
Yeah.
Times 100.
You'll have a job, plus you'll have a job managing your job.
Yeah.
You'll have both. So
just systemize it.
Do you have a quick tip for us?
Oh yeah, it's on my notes. Do you want to do yours first?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about taking a process into how you create content. So if you saw my Monday video this week, it was sort of on that topic, where if you're doing a lot of content marketing, which if you're serious about building a brand, I think you need to, is putting out content for your business, and you'll become a brand that's worth paying attention to, not just someone doing business. To actually create a brand. But there's kind of the three sort of different types of content, and Google was the one that introduced this idea. I think it was about 5 years ago, and it was hero content and hub content and hygiene content. And when they brought it out, it was to help people specifically for YouTube. But since then, everyone has kind of adopted it as a pretty good guideline for any type of content. So whether you're doing social media or blogs or whatever you're putting out there, hero, hub, and hygiene content. So hero content it's maybe coming out once or twice a year. I mean, if you're a really big brand, maybe you could do it once a month, but it's like the high production, amazing, viral worthy, awesome content that you put so much planning and so much intention into creating something that just is perfect. And so an example that I gave was like WestJet's Christmas Miracle videos, things like that took a lot of planning to create. Like this wasn't just something they shot one afternoon. This is making a mini documentary almost, right? It's something seriously huge. And that's going to be really good at attracting new audiences because it's going to go viral. You're going to reach people who don't see your regular content. So then hub content is more of your regular stuff, like your once a month, 4 or 5 times a month regular content that's going out there, and that's just maintaining a relationship with people and deepening a relationship with people. You're not going to really reach many new people, but it's just going to continue being connected to them and build a deeper relationship with them. So that's just hub content, putting out stuff that they're going to find value, whether it's entertaining or informative or news about you or whatever it is. But that's your hub content. And then hygiene content is your most frequent. And it's more stuff that people can find. They're gonna be searching, or it solves a problem they have, and they're gonna discover that content. So it's not really you pushing it out there and them following you and finding it. It's more something that you publish, like a blog, and you don't necessarily share it, but when people are searching or they're reading through your website or they're doing a Google search, they're gonna find it. And so that's your most frequent content. So that is kind of the 3 different parts, and if you make use of them all, it kind of builds up and becomes this really, really powerful thing. And if you look at it visually, it's often shown as a pyramid because the hero content is a very small piece and it sits at the top, and then your hub content and hygiene content as far as how much you do of each. But that's a rubric that we follow for our biggest clients that do content marketing very seriously. If you're doing the whole content marketing thing and really investing in it. And for others, you're kind of like picking pieces out of that. It's tough to do like seriously big hero content for some brands, but that is how I would systemize building out like what does your content look like for the next year.
And you put that in the calendar then to do those things?
I mean, once they're designed, they are like our hub content. So like my Monday Marketing Minute is hub content. It comes out every Monday. People expect it. So it's in my calendar that it comes out every Monday. When that gets turned into a blog afterwards, that's hygiene content. It's in my calendar to be there. We haven't done any hero content yet, really, but that would be a fun thing to play with. I mean, there is a YouTube video I've been wanting to make for a while that at some point is going to get made, and that will be a hero piece, but yeah.
I think
that
we
is
have a
my
new
not so
project
quick
for me
tip.
too now.
Yeah, we need a hero piece.
Well, my quick tip is no shorter than yours.
Okay.
My quick tip was to have people do their own job descriptions, KPIs, policies, and procedures, like to help you get things going. But I already talked about that. Just a quick note on that. If you do get other people to do them, make sure you're checking in near the beginning. You don't want someone doing like 20 procedures and then having you say, oh, I would have done it differently.
No.
You know, like,
yeah. That's no fun
but I
for
think
anyone.
if you're overwhelmed, especially, you know, instead of doing the whole binder, creating the whole online set of procedures and job description and everything else, just as you coach your team or as you find the urge to coach your team or tell them they should have done something better, just try to create a procedure at a time.
Right.
You know, if you don't have a culture statement or a procedure or a job description that would correct that, create it together. Just start there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't need to be mean or be a desk beater or
No.
get angry when you have these tools and your business is systemized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
It's better to have one than none. You
Okay.
know, and it's better than 2 than just start.
Right, because I think a lot of people are going to be crippled by the idea of how large of a project this is.
Yeah.
But having all of them done is not the benchmark for
Well, here's the thing.
success.
You're never going to get it done.
Yeah.
It will never be done. So if you're a perfectionist, just let it go. It's never going to be done because especially look at online marketing, but the world changes so fast now. Your procedures will change.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
just knowing you'll never get it done should help you get started. That's my quick
It should.
tip. Just
yeah.
get started.
Just get started. Just do it. TM Nike. Can we just acknowledge our shirts?
Yeah,
Because
I feel like we're very nerdy
It's gonna look
today.
awful on
Jocelyn
video.
hasn't made fun of us yet, so that's good.
Yeah, it's good. But we did not plan our wardrobes today, and we both
You
have
texted me and told me
highly
to wear
patterned
black
and white shirts, and now we look funny. All right, that was episode 14 of Business Can Be Better, How to Systemize Your Business. 14. Oh, next week, you want to move this? 7:15 next week?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do these, not just next week, but next week forward. We'll do them at 7:15 p.m. Mountain time, just to allow other things to get done, and then we can do this later in the evening.
Yeah, and a lot of people were giving feedback that the 6:15 was like supper with the kids and stuff, and
Oh, do
that
people do
7:15
that?
would be better. Oh, Jocelyn's
Yes.
gonna kill you when you get home.
So we're gonna do that 7:15 p.m.
Yeah.
Live on YouTube. You can find our YouTube channel at bit.ly/Better Business Podcast, and you can find me on Twitter, Lane_Anderson, on LinkedIn. Just search me, Lane Anderson, and on Instagram, Lane B Anderson. You got this.
Kelly Ray Tamaki on LinkedIn, and also TMH Business Coaching and Consulting on LinkedIn, and same on Facebook, and on Instagram it's Kelly Ray Tamaki TMH. Thanks for watching, guys.
See you later.